Hello everybody. This is a special little addendum bonus video to my Write the Cyclone Theories and Opinions video. I know that video is 2 years old. I know that many people want me to make a second one. Things are in the works. Things have been in the works. I promise things are in the works. But I was reading through the comments on that video and I felt that there were some things that I wanted to address and like put in like a little card, and like if I could go back and like edit the video and be like, director's note, editor's note, I would, but I can't do that. So this is my compromise to that. Just a couple little things that I wanted to sprinkle in that I feel like are important supplementary addendums to the original video. A retroactive editing, if you will. A thing I don't think I got across well in that video is that just because I have a theory or just because I believe something does not mean that I think it is true or like accurate to the actual world that we're talking about. Like, I'm very anti-author's intentions. I think we can take them into consideration, but just because a writer, director, actor, author, whatever, intended for things to be one way does not mean that I have to like believe them and agree with them. Like, admittedly, I grew up a Destiny L shipper. So I will believe what I want to believe until the bitter end. Even if everything in the text tells me that it's wrong, I will believe what I want. And just because I have these theories and these beliefs does not mean that I also believe that the people making the thing agree with my viewpoint or intended for that to be the interpretation or the takeaway from whatever they're making. And I think that's not only okay, but good. I think that different opinions and different interpretations makes for wonderful conversations like these, but I don't want it to make it seem like I'm positing these theories as like, these things happened in the show, and therefore the writer, creative people, blah, 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 must have intended for this to be the takeaway, blah, 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 blah. No. These theories are mine and mine alone. This is my cross to bear. These came out of my brain and my brain only. We're just here to have a silly, fun, good time, and I'm not trying to, like, make this, like, the one right, end-all, be-all way to interpret the show, or, like, the correct way, or whatever. It's just my thoughts. We could all have our own thoughts, and I think that's great. To that point, some lovely people have pointed out that my Noel catfishing Misha as Talia theory plays into some very harmful gay stereotypes, and that is my bad. I am so sorry. I did not intend for that to be the case. When I first made that theory, I did not know that, like, gay guy manipulates straight guy to get with him was, like, a trope. I didn't know that that was, like, a really big thing, specifically a very big harmful thing that a lot of media perpetuates. As many of y'all know, I don't consume much media. Specifically older media where this trope has originated. I watch modern things in which people are gay and also good. Not like Hays Code era bullshit where like all gay people have to be evil. So I never realized when I made that theory that people would understand it within that context and it would come across a lot worse than I intended, and that is my bad. Like, I never thought that Noel was like taking advantage of Misha or the situation by like doing that. I genuinely just thought Noel is just trying to like form a connection with him. He just doesn't know how. It's a little bit misguided, I guess, because Misha's just very, you know, closed off, very impersonable. So he's like, what's some way that I could get, like, I could bridge that gap. It's by, like, being somebody from his home country because that's someplace that he seems really connected to. Like, I never thought in this scenario that Noel was, like, doing some sort of nefarious thing trying to deceive anybody, because that's just not the way that I guess, view catfishing. But I totally understand that we exist within the context. So I wanted to clear that up so that that is not being misinterpreted by anybody, because playing into harmful stereotypes, totally not my intention. And I just thought that moment where Noel stops Misha from like learning the truth about Talia was very interesting. And I still think it's very interesting. I just think that it's probably not true. Like, most of my headcanons, like, just because I have a theory about something does not necessarily mean that I think it's true. Like I was saying before, I don't think it's true to the story. Sometimes I just think that things are interesting. And I still think, like, devoid of the context that we and the musical live in, this would be a very good story moment. Like, if Misha had the same sort of moment with another character, like Constance or somebody else, and she was, like, adamant that he did not know the truth about Talia, I'd be like, that's suspicious. That's weird. Also, in the very not real scenario in which this was the case, I don't think that Noel would be like the villain. Again, maybe it's the Ocean Defender in me talking, but I think you can do bad things, and not be a bad person. Like, the only other time I've seen this happen was on Glee, and I never thought of it as like unique, being like, oh, she's so, like, nasty and mean and manipulative to Ryder. Spoilers for season 4 of Glee, I guess. But, like, I was very sympathetic to her as a character. I fully understood that she was, like, not knowing how to navigate the situation of liking somebody, but knowing that if she was like truthful with her feelings, she would be ostracized. And I just like felt like a lot of sympathy towards that. And I never thought of it as like this like evil thing that she was doing. And I thought the same way about Noel when I made the theory, because like, I don't know, I guess I just don't see like catfishing as this like big bad backstabbing manipulative act that some other people do. But that's just me. And I still don't think that Talia is real. I think it makes for a way more interesting and compelling story if she's not real. Because let's say Misha does get brought back to life, and then we see him in the epilogue, and then Talia just like isn't there. Wouldn't that just like crush your heart a little bit? Like, as much as I would love Talia to be real, because I do want Misha to get that happy ending, I just think it's a more emotionally impactful story if she's not real. And I've seen a lot of other people also lean to the side of Talia's a catfish, but by like some unnamed person. And to that, I would like to open the floor to Whomst. Because I didn't just say Noel because of his actions in the show. I also said it because I have never seen a long-term catfish that was not somebody close to the person that they're catfishing. Like, I've seen many seasons of MTV's Catfish, and it's either one, a real person, not a catfish, just somebody being weird, or somebody who is very close to that individual trying to like find a roundabout way into their life. I don't think I've ever seen an episode of Catfish in which it was just like, yeah, it was a catfish, but it's someone you've never met before. Because I cannot imagine why some rando would want to catfish this child. He's like 17 for like a prank or something. Because the only times you see like random people trying to catfish people online, it's for money. And as we've established, and I think as I mentioned in the video, Misha has no money to catfish and to steal from him by manipulating him in this way. Unless we want to go with the Misha's family is secretly rich theory, which I also think would be very interesting. If someone finds out that Misha's family is rich, because that's another thing that I was thinking of. I was like, okay, if it's a random person at St. Cassian, maybe it's somebody not in the choir, so we don't see them in the show. Maybe they find out that, hey, the rich people in town, the people who owned all the coal mines that have shut down and have all this generational wealth, they just adopted a child. And that child is this Ukrainian boy in my class. I'm going to manipulate him in order to get this money from his family out of him. I think that would be very interesting as well. I also think as this show continues to move further and further into the future, because it's not like a time-locked show in the way that some other shows are, where it's like set in a specific time period. The show continues to move with time. You know what I mean? Like, it was made in 2008, but it like doesn't live in 2008. It lives in the present. And I think as technology advances, it gets easier and easier to write off the whole, oh, they spoke to each other in his native language. ChatGPT exists. Google Translate's pretty good now. Like, I think if the further along this show gets in time, the easier it is for someone to just like make up the fact that they know Ukrainian. Or is it somebody who genuinely speaks Ukrainian, who found him online and is just like a fan of Bad Egg and is putting on this Talia persona to like seem more interesting and get his attention? I don't know. I would love to hear everybody's pitches, because I find the mystery of Talia so interesting, and in many ways I think she's more interesting if you don't know if she's real or not. She's kind of like Schrodinger's character, or like Margot from Paper Towns. She's a manic pixie dream girl persona. Someone also pointed out that Noel wouldn't have done the whole catfishing thing because it like is antithetical to his character as a foil to Ocean. And that's honestly such a good point, and something I never realized or thought about, because I don't think about like literary devices when I'm thinking about the media that I'm consuming. Like, that's a very complex and important layer of storytelling that just goes right over my head, and I never reach up to catch it because it's just not that interesting for me personally to think about. I just think about these things as like people. So if they're doing something that like doesn't make sense for them in the like narrative context of the story, that is not something that I take into consideration. Same for Ricky being trans femme. Some people have very rightly asked, why would he sing a song about being called Space Age Bachelor Man if he's a woman? I don't know, dude. Like I said, I think it could go either way. And I have a very loosey-goose relationship with gender, so to me it didn't seem that weird that like a woman would want to sing about being a bachelor man. Like, yes you are, pop off sis. Like in the way that there are he/him lesbians. Like, people can have a really strong connection to the gender they were assigned at birth while still knowing that that's not who they are, how they want to be addressed. And I don't see why Ricky can't be in a similar situation. But his character is ultimately about his disabilities, so whether he may or may not be trans is of small importance overall. And to wrap this up, if I may continue to defend Ocean some more, I've heard people say that she's ableist. And I'm simply not going to argue that. That is not my field of expertise. But I will argue against the point that she thinks anyone in the choir, Ricky included, should die because she thinks she's genetically better than them. I think there is a very big difference between wanting yourself to live and wanting others to die. They're miles apart, babes. Like, they're all already dead. Her living does not mean that the other people die because they are already dead. That is already the set standard that we're going into the show with. And I don't think it makes Ocean a bad person to want to argue her case to live because she's not in turn arguing that the rest of them should die. Like, she's the one who asked, why only one of us, why not all of us, when like asking why only one person could be brought back. She is the one put in this impossible situation by the game, by Karnak. And I think Ocean has many faults, but I think this distinction is very important as a tried and true Ocean defender. But yes, those are just the addendums that I wanted to make very quickly, wanted to add those onto the video. I was thinking about making this an unlisted video, but then I was like, who's really gonna see this little card in the middle of my hour-plus long video? So it's a public video, but just know if you're watching this separate from the theories and opinions video, this is an addendum to this. This is like a 1.5 to the, or not even 1.5, 1.1 to the theories and opinions video. So if you don't understand anything happening in this video, go back and watch that one. Also, if you're looking for little one-off theories that I've come up with, follow my Tumblr. I know it's crazy to promote a Tumblr in the year 2024, but I put a lot of my good Ride the Cyclone theories that were not in that video on my Tumblr. I will potentially likely put more addendum videos like this out in the future. I'm gonna be so honest with y'all, there's only so many things I can say about this show that's 90 minutes long. I have yapped more about the show than there are minutes in the show itself. But like I said before, there are ideas that are brewing, there are ideas that are cooking, they're just very time consumptive and I don't have a lot of time. But there will be no like last Ride the Cyclone video. I hate when people do that dramatic shit. There will be more content of the Ride the Cyclone variety on this channel in the future. I cannot give you a timeline though, because time is working against me, as it's working against everybody. But let me know your thoughts in the comments, or let me know your thoughts in the comments of my main theory video. Again, this is an addendum. And happy belated birthday to who I'm voting for to be brought back to life, Misha Baczynski.